In a few hours from now, the whole world is set to shift. Festivities ahead of Donald Trump's inauguration in full force. For some, his return a dream. For others, a nightmare.
That's what we're going to do, take back our country, bring it all back, once and for all.
From pageantry to pals to protests.
We won't go back!
With just hours to go before Donald Trump makes his triumphant return to the White House.
Welcome to the Make America Great Again Victory Rally!
The party has well and truly started.
MAGA is stronger, more powerful, more united, and more determined than ever before.
Some in a show of fervent support.
Trump is back!
Trump leaving! Daddy's home!
Others venomous dissent.
I think I want to throw up.
Down with deportation!
There's a lot of fear right now.
Immigrants are welcome here!
One of his fiercest critics, his own blood, niece Mary Trump. Well, we're only a few hours away from Donald Trump's second inauguration now. I think we all know you've been a pretty strident critic of his for 8 years. But how do you think his second term might differ from his first?
I think he will feel unbound in a way that he did not in the first term. Also, he, over the last several years, has sort of winnowed out anybody who might challenge his authority or try to force him to paint within the lines. And we've also seen the degree to which people with oligarchical tendencies like Elon Musk have enormous power or will have enormous power in the incoming administration. So he has surrounded himself with enormously wealthy people who don't themselves feel bound by any norms or traditions that in the past have kept presidents in line.
One of the traditions of a Trump presidency, though, seems to be he loves someone and then he sacks them pretty quickly after when things fall out. How do you think it's going to go with Elon?
Elon Musk and Donald Trump are characterologically similar. Donald needs Elon Musk in a way he doesn't need other people. There's the money, of course, and there's the fact that Elon Musk, in his own way, has enormous amounts of power. We've seen how he meddled in our election, how he's attempting to influence politics in Great Britain and Germany by going all in with the far right. One thing Elon Musk understands is that the last person who has Donald's ear is the person with the most influence. There's a reason Elon Musk has relocated to Mar-a-Lago in the wake of the election, and we now know that he will have offices in the White House. And last I checked, nobody voted for him. I do not want the administration to fail the American people, but my fear is that they're going to.
Just listening to you, it sounds like you don't have a huge amount of faith in the American institutions that are meant to hold him in check. The American people voted for him. This time, there's no debate. He got a majority in the popular vote and a pretty significant win in the Electoral College as well. Do you have faith in the American people?
The problem over the last few years, and I don't believe it's just happening in this country, but Donald Trump has presented a unique figure here, is the way in which information is siloed, social media is not regulated, and people often don't have access to the facts. Instead, they get the preferred perspective of one side or the other. So I don't think it's necessarily that, I've lost faith in the American people because they're bad. I've lost faith in the media's ability to inform the American people to the degree they need to be informed, and that is worrisome.
What do you think about the idea of giving credit where it's due? So one of the things I'm thinking of, the ceasefire that we've just seen take effect in the Middle East. There is reporting, so not just, scuttlebutt narrative, but reporting from people who are representatives in those negotiations saying the presence of Donald Trump's envoy made a big difference. We know that he'd promised to unleash hell on Gaza if the hostages weren't returned, and that may have moved Hamas. He's also put pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu. Would you say that this is a sign that he might actually be able to achieve some good things and that you should be open to that?
I think favors are being done to Donald to give him credit for things. I'm not saying he didn't have anything to do with it, but we have to also recognize that this has been something that's been worked on for 15 months. And Netanyahu is not a fan of Joe Biden and probably, was open to giving Donald credit, which if he deserves it, then fine. But I think Donald is also very good at taking credit for things for which he deserves none.
You did a Q&A recently, ironically perhaps, on Elon Musk's platform, where you said a whole bunch of interesting things, but there's a particular quote I want to read to you because I found it really fascinating coming from you. You were talking about his last term and the way opponents of his would react, and you said Donald would post something on Twitter or Truth Social or wherever that was absolutely insane. The response would be, finally, he's losing his mind and it's over because he's crazy. That happened for 8 years. And then you said that he would say something, and this is a quote, legitimately horrible, but then, quote, we would overreact and think it was the end of the world. And then you concluded with, so let's just take a breath. Your criticisms are still very strident. Doesn't sound like you've taken a breath quite yet. What will that look like?
Well, I guess I'll let you know if it ever happens. But I think what I meant was, we should all take a breath, obviously, and just don't take the bait, because I think a lot of Donald's tactic is to drive the opposition crazy and just flood the zone. So if we're always paying attention to everything he says, we get exhausted and then we miss when something happens that actually does require our attention. So we just need to pick our battles, basically, and not get too confident when it looks like he's losing his mind on Twitter, because he's, as I said, he's always losing his mind on Twitter. And thus far, it hasn't led to anything that has weakened him. And if anything, he's stronger now than he's ever been, which is both shocking and depressing.
Mary Trump, we are out of time, so let's take a breath, see how the next 4 years unfold. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Mary Trump has a book out. The book is called Who Could Ever Love You? A Family Memoir. Wow. It's kind of about the whole family. Donald appears, but not as much as I perhaps expected. Anyway, that is out now.